Yo, um, I mean, I don't know how to start these. I'm still learning on my introduction, but basically, what today's video is gonna be about is just my personal experiences in Islam and my personal experiences being Muslim in the United States, from my childhood to the present moment. And I just wanna put that out there so you understand where I'm going in case I go on some tangents. But if you ever watch one of these videos like fully through, again, thank you. That definitely means a lot to me just to be curious enough to know a thing or two about me. But I'm gonna I'm gonna jump right in and just start out in saying that being Muslim is just probably the most important thing in my life right now. It hasn't always been that way, but being Muslim, it's gonna sound weird, and not in the religious sense, but in the spiritual sense. Some may disagree with that, but what I mean by spiritual sense is just having a place to go, um, having a home to go to, a refuge, like a place to go to when I'm like, even when I'm good or even when I'm like not feeling the best, and I'm disconnected from just my environment, the places, the things around me, and it's just like it's like a companion, by my side, or like a teacher or a mentor, just for help, you know. But I also want to point out that I'm not a scholar, and this is just my personal perspective and my personal, how I grew up in it. So just to put that out very clearly, I'm not someone who can answer all your questions, but I'm just gonna I have my notes. I'm just gonna go off my notes and go off like what I've been through. I mean, to start out, my childhood, it was heavily dominated by Judaism and Christianity. I mean, when I was born in 1999, I was born in the suburbs of Maryland, first generation immigrant family. Well, I'm first generation immigrant, or first generation of immigrant parents, but so there's two disconnections there. One, not being where my roots came from, which is Gambia, West Africa, and two, my spiritual beliefs was not connected to the neighborhood that I grew up in, and that can have a major effect, a major effect. So just going off that, all my friends were Jewish, some of them Christian. I didn't have any Muslim friends. Majority of them were Caucasian. So just a complete disconnect there outside of the house. It was a strange experience because I was jealous of what they had, which is a bad trait, but like Christmas and what was it, Hanukkah, they're getting these gifts, they're having celebrations, and I'm out here starving for Ramadan, which was weird. It was summertime too, so like they're all going out to the pool, and it's that month of Ramadan. I'm like fasting and I'm staying in the house and whatnot. So it was weird for me. And another thing that was weird for me is that we would is we were what you call a Ramadan Muslim. Like as a kid, you know, we rarely learned about it as kids growing up. Um, we just prayed, we just fasted during Ramadan, and that was basically the main time where we were taught. We had teachers growing up, like a little bit. We were in school for a little bit, but my mom took me out, which I'm proud that she did, because they didn't, they, the way they looked at her and the way they looked at us was made her uncomfortable. And I'm glad that she followed that intuition, because that's like, that's just not the kind of environment that you would want your kid to grow up in. Which was a very good choice. So just growing up in that area it was strange. We were blessed for sure. We were definitely blessed, but it was just strange. And it having a path as a kid is very important. It from the beginning of time, it's always been like that. There's always been a religion that you belong to, or a path that you belong to. I think that's just how we're designed. We're designed to want a path. We're designed to want to like worship something. You're a slave to something. I think it's been because of like TV and because of like unfortunately different outside influences, God has been made almost as a joke in a way, if that makes sense. And it's almost corny to say that you have faith in God. It's almost corny, and it sounds or too religious or corny, and you seem cool if you say, like, if you're not someone who has a spiritual life, you just go with the flow. But I think with middle school, high school, middle school or elementary school, I'll start off from elementary school. Elementary school, I don't have the best memories of it. I remember one teacher asked me like what my like religion is, and I said Muslim. And she's like, oh, like if you ever need to pray, like come to my office, which was like, I forgot her name, but she was really nice. But I don't have much memories of elementary school. Middle school, again, I was looking at my Christian and Jewish friends and the way they lived their life, and it seemed like, I don't know how to put it into words, but it just seemed just different to me, like out of there was a disconnect, simply put. There was just a disconnect with everything about it, on the subconscious and fundamental level, and it wasn't a place of guidance. It wasn't. So that led to me to I made bad choices, but it led to me like a different way of viewing the world. I was to be transparent, like I had not a dark mindset, but I wasn't very negative, because I was very negative because my definition of satisfaction, my definition of living, what's the word? Living a good life was based on the material gain, the group of friends that you had, what college that you're going to, my career success, and you learn like in high school, you learn about betrayal. Like, you thought you had good friends, but some of them weren't great friends. You know, not terrible people, just not great friends. And it's like we don't share the same values. We don't share the same backstory. We don't share the same culture. And you lose a sense of yourself because because it's all around you, so you're trying to identify with that idea of success and like satisfaction in that world. And my heart felt it differently. And so because of that, I had a lot of, little heartbreaks, like, friends that maybe they do you wrong, and then you never hear from them again, and then you have experiences that you just don't connect with. A friend told me something about assimilation. At first, I agreed with them, but the more and more I travel, I don't think assimilation is the best thing to do, because if you assimilate, you may lose a sense of self. Especially for me personally, especially if like you don't have like that fundamental upbringing. So assimilation wasn't the best thing for me to do. It actually caused me more damage, and actually, yeah. So, and I think in high school, yeah, like I said, it was just, you didn't have the greatest of friends, and I had like everyone's good people. I can't put it into words. Excuse me. But that was just my experience, which it did add to my insecurities. Because you're like, is being Muslim like, it doesn't seem cool. And I grew up in the early 2000s, so after 9/11, being Muslim was just like not the thing to do. It wasn't cool to talk about, or like you're afraid of being Muslim. The early 2000s, and at the home life, you're not really going deeper and deeper into it. But this is a tough topic to talk about, because it's like I'm trying to find like the, how do I express that? It's an interesting come about to how I got to like more interested in it, because once I got into college, you lose a bunch of friends. I mean, you lose a lot of friends, and you spend a lot of time alone. I went to community college, so I wasn't like on campus. So like you go to class, you come home, the house is like pretty much empty for most of the day. So you sitting at home, like just thinking to yourself, really have nothing. And then especially in this area, it's not like you go outside. It's not like going to like New York or a city. You go outside, there's a whole bunch of people. You go outside and you see like a pharmaceutical building. I don't know. Like, it's just, this Maryland, which is nice, but it's like, it's just a lot of small businesses. So you go outside. So it's not really a community. So it's weird. So I'm in the house, just like on my phone. And I think I needed some motivation at the time. So I was watching like a lot of those motivational videos, like Tony Robbins, Lex Friedman, I think, and a bunch of other people. And I was heavy into rap at the time, but not that heavy. But there was this one clip of like Kendrick Lamar, and he was talking about like his life, and I got inspired again. I got back into his music, and he was talking about his connection to Christianity and to the Bible. And I was like, you know what? Let me read the Quran. You know, I was inspired by like my family, but as well too. But I don't think I ever told anyone that. But I was really Kendrick Lamar inspired me to read the Quran. I saw how he put it in his writings and whatnot. And I think his wife is Muslim too. And he will like put some like Islamic quotes in it. So I read the Quran, and that was like really maybe bad. I'm not remembering it. I'm not remembering it like entirely, but I think that was the beginning of the journey to get back into it. On a personal level, I saw my dad get back into it. I saw my brothers get back into it. And I didn't resonate with it at the time because the change was so quick, and I didn't fully resonate with it. So I kind of had to I kind of just did my own. I was stubborn, so I just did my own thing, and I did my own like research. But it was a long journey, and I started praying. I forget what happened. I'm trying to look at my notes. Yeah, I got into poetry. That's what it was. I got into poetry, and I was reading like Rumi and a few other poets like Hafez and I think Shams Tabriz, and they talk about this quest for awakening the heart and the quest for like being present. I read a bunch of books. I read Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now, and whatnot. And because I was doing this, like reading that stuff all day, I wanted to try it out. I wanted to like see if this actually works. You know, for me, you know, if I was to bring that excitement and that curiosity around like just anybody, I don't know how they would treat it. I don't know how they would take care of that. You know, we're all young at the time, so you have like immature. You can be some immaturity, but I don't know how someone may take care of that. So I kind of like did it on my own. Well, I mean, not on my own, but like I had like my brother, and I kind of like kept that interest quiet. But I would start like praying like by myself. I would like go listen to the Quran, like go for a walk, listen to the Quran, and you know, it was lonely for sure. And before I even continue, like if you ever study a path, study the religion and not the people, because someone may turn it off for you. Someone may like push you away from it. You know, they may be too extreme. They may be like put their own culture into it, and their tone of voice may like turn you off from it. So I feel like you have to study it for yourself and really learn it for yourself, so that you can be in a community, if that makes sense. It's like learn how to run first before joining a track team, or at least have your own interest in it and like running before joining a track team. I think that's how there's different ways. Like I said, I'm not a scholar, so there's different ways to the top of the mountain. But that's a good place to go. So I would like read books and I would like study on my own, and I recognize the wisdom in it. But again, something that was very important, the discipline. The discipline wasn't always there. I got turned off from it. I got interested again, turned off from it, interested. And this is back and forth thing that I was dealing with for a long time. And if you ever like spend time around me, it's like, you would know that I'm not like the perfect person. I have my bad habits. I'm a great guy. Like, let me be real with you. I'm a good dude, and I mean well. And I have my flaws, but not to be too down on myself. But there's definitely some things I need to be worked on. But it was weird. And then there was a time when I tried therapy for the first time. And that was weird because I was afraid to share that with people. I didn't know how someone may take that. And it may see like as like something, because men don't go, well, for me, in my personal perspective, like it's not common for people around me to go to therapy. So I don't know how someone may take that. So I kind of kept that low because I was nervous about how someone may react. But I went to therapy, and my therapist was like heavy into like Buddhist stuff, and they understood like my spiritual interest, and they kind of incorporated that. It was the thing is, they were actually LGBTQ and heavy supporters, and I came in, I told them that I'm Muslim, and we still had like a very interesting connection because we both were interested in like the spirituality, the side of life, in the energy medicine side of life, which was really interesting. I wasn't expecting that, but yeah, they were cool people, and they kind of like helped me, like, what's the word? Nourish that like interest in like growing that way. I'm gonna look at my notes real quick. Yeah, so okay, after college, so let me summarize what I've said so far. Because I usually do these videos like off the top of my head. I have like a little notes, but to summarize, so childhood, there wasn't much like influence of Islam. A few. I don't want to like get my parents and make it seem like they didn't care, because my dad taught me how to pray. He taught me about little things. My mom, she definitely cared. She protected us from a school that may have not been best for us. And my friends were all Christian and Jewish. Majority of them were Caucasian. To summarize that, so for like, and even as I got older and I got into more diverse friend groups, I think subconsciously I still hung around the same people I've been hanging around. There was a change like later, right before college, but I think it was still in my subconscious. So for like 18 years, that was my setup, like no real, like strong foundation. It was very like all over the place, very abstract. And then in college, I got into it. I was into it. I was out of it. I was into it. I was out of it. Excuse me. And I would read a few books here and there my brother would give me, and listen to a couple of lectures here and there. But it wasn't I treated it more as a religion than a path, and there's a difference. And I don't know if I can explain it the best, but I'll say this: the path is a little bit more compassionate. It's a little bit more spiritual, because I don't know how to express it, but okay, I'll say this. And I read this book, Mastery, by George Leonard, and it talked about what a master really is. Once you learn the basics, that's it. It's really just about practicing every day, and you improve. You're gonna have your lows, you're gonna have your ups and your downs and the plateaus, and that's a path, because you just practice every day, you pray every day, you do something kind every day, and then maybe for like a month, you may be like neglecting what you're supposed to be doing. You may be doing this, doing that, and then you get back into it. That's what it is. That's the path that you can be on, and I think there's a difference. But so I was on the path. It's like I didn't even know that, but I was always on the path. I just didn't have enough compassion for myself to realize that, hey, I'm not doing so bad. I can be doing better, but I'm not doing so bad. And so I have a note that says like my love, which is an interesting note, and I'll get to that. But I do have to give respect to my parents, because I have it in my notes. It says, my father's forgiveness and my mom's roots in Gambia. One of the most important things you can take from Islam is like the power of forgiveness. It's one of the most difficult things to do. And I was lucky enough to have my father as an example of what forgiveness looks like. Even though I haven't done it like he has done it on that level, but I still have that example moving forward to look back to. So that's a very important thing to remember. And my mom's roots in Gambia and where she came from, she never forgot Gambia. She never forgot where she came from. It defined her. It has its ups and downs, but it defined her. And you need that, so that way, I wasn't taught the hometown language, but still, there were some things, the culture that we still incorporated. But those are very important lessons, especially being a Muslim, because being Muslim is about community and forgiveness and whatnot. So I had to say that first before I continue. And I will want to talk about, okay, it says my love. I'm gonna be a little on the sensitive side, but I'm gonna say this with a quote, not a quote, but like a proverb, whatever it's called. But I'll say a few things. The first thing is, any other path but the path to Allah is empty, and I believe that's true. What do you want to call it? Allah, the Tao, God, whatever you want to call it. But any other path besides that is empty. It's the same thing with love. You're loving. How can you love something if it doesn't remind you of the spiritual? If it doesn't take you back into your heart? I mean, I'm saying Allah as if Allah was outside of myself. Allah is very, 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 very close. So how can I love something if I don't love Allah. And that's from the inside out. It's not like from the higher realms. It's actually right here. So basically, how can you love someone if you don't love yourself? Like, who was God? But but you're like, I can't speak on that because I don't know. I can't speak on it too much, but Allah is part of you, and I think that's very important. And so, what does love look like when you don't have that? When you don't realize that there's an addiction, there's obsession. It's not real love. It's very toxic, very, very toxic, and you fetishize and you do, like, it's not good. You think my love of like anime and my obsession with anime made me think that this was my answer to life. If I can just write an anime story, this is my success. Like, if I can get that girl, this is my success. And if I can get that job, if I can get that career, if I can get that lifestyle, even like you may think sometimes you get deluded. Let's say I lived in Hawaii and I was living like my best life. My love is dependent on Hawaii being there. And that can be very, very, very dangerous because Hawaii is a material plane. Not to say I wouldn't want to live in Hawaii. I've been there. It's very, very, very nice. But it's like, I don't want my love to be dependent on that. I even wrote a story about that. It's called Where Are You? But as long as I have this, wherever I am in life, I'm okay. No matter what. So that's like really what I believe. I had a lot of heartbreak because I had a wrong understanding of what love was. And I'm gonna sound pretentious, but I don't think love, what you call love, is appreciation, it's compassion, it's care, it's gratitude. And leading to my next like topic, it's the feeling side of Islam. I have a couple of book recommendations that I'll talk about, but I wasn't tuned in to how I felt inside my body at all, like not until I was like 20 something. And here's the thing, the answer was all around me. There are ancient traditions that go back 5,000 years, 10,000 years that teach about feeling, that teach about light and love and peace. I just stayed away from that because I thought it wasn't cool. Like, what kind of man talks about feelings? What kind of man talks about emotions? And so I didn't really live by that. Until I got into art, art definitely helped me on my path to Islam, but with the poetry and the paintings and the abstract paintings, and but the feeling side of things, I carried so much hate. I'm not gonna expose my family, but I just carried so much hate, and it damaged a lot of family relationships deeply. And I'm not gonna say it's always my fault, but it goes both ways. But my lack of understanding about my feelings. Now, there's a difference between feeling and emotion. Feeling, it's just like you feel warm, you feel joy, or you feel like cold, you feel up, you feel low. That's feeling. And then like emotion is like almost a byproduct of that. Because let's say someone may touch you, someone may poke you, and it may make you feel happy. Do the same thing to someone else, and it may piss them off. So it's like there's a difference between the feeling and the emotion. And just to give a shout out to another spiritual tradition, Taoism. Taoism has like a really good understanding of it, and they have this this practice called Tai Chi. And I read a book, Chi, Discovering Your Life Energy, by Master Wei Sun Liao. That if someone was to come and talk to me and ask me about Islam, I would tell them the 5 pillars, and they would ask me what books to read. I would tell them, I'll read this one first. Read this one first because understand how you feel. Because how can you pray if you don't understand your feelings? You don't just pray like just to say the words. You actually do it from the inside out. I would recommend this book first before anything. And trying to find it good. It just talks about mind to body connection and being present and understanding what your life energy is. And it's really nice. This is definitely going to be in my library for a very long time. And another book I would recommend is Reclaim Your Heart by Yasmin Mujahid. She basically talks about not letting the world into your heart because it will cause you a lot of suffering. And she was saying that the only one that you should let in your heart is Allah. Nobody else. Like, you can have people close to it, like around it as a circle, but nobody is meant to be inside of your heart. Excuse me, because they will poke holes and they will break it. So you keep that spiritual with you only, which sounds kind of cold, but you get older, you understand that anyone can hurt you, especially family. Family will hurt you the most. That would definitely cause you the most pain. But this one I would recommend first because it's just very important to understand your feelings. And although Islam does talk about it, I think having, especially with that book, it has a focus on it. So I think it's really important. And I just realized I never talked about the 5 pillars of Islam, which is very important. Number 1 and the most important one is believing that there is no God but Allah, and that Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is the last messenger and servant. Number 2 is praying 5 times a day. Number 3 is fasting the month of Ramadan. That's when you pray that you fast those 29 days from sunrise to sunset. You eat 2 meals a day. You're just not eating or drinking during like the 12, 15 hours that you're up. Number 4 is charity. You have to give a charity. And the beautiful thing about Islam is that if you can't afford it, they consider a smile, like just smiling to someone is charity. If you can't give out your money. And number 5, and only if you can afford it, you go to Mecca and you perform the pilgrimage of Hajj. Anything else you learn in Islam is just to help you with those 5 pillars. If you're into poetry, you're into like art, it may help you with your feelings. Those feelings help you with your prayers. If you're into finances, help you with charity, if you're into anything, like just biology, science, everything helps you with those five pillars. Let me get back my notes. What else should I want to talk about? Yes, the last thing I want to talk about was my trip to Medina and my trip to Mecca. That was a very good trip because I think at the time I was giving up on Islam. I think I was tired of it. Or I felt like I didn't see the benefit in it, and I wasn't praying, I wasn't doing anything. And actually I was just giving up on it because, you know, like I said before, some people can like turn it off for you and you're not that interested anymore, and it's more intellectual than spiritual. It's more how it felt. Then I took that trip, and I'll try to simplify it as much as I can because it's a lot. So for Medina, you have a structure. You're praying. You go into the masjid and you're praying and you're learning about the history, and you're seeing these beautiful buildings. You're seeing, and like I said before, how I didn't grow up in an all Muslim community. It was nice to. I think Gambia is all Muslim too, but to go back to the place where, because I went to Gambia once, a couple times, and yes, but to see it in Mecca and Medina, where it's like, that's like the birthplace of it, was different, and it had a major impact on me. Because you're seeing people in their 70s, 60s, childs, just trying to find a type of healing, and they found something to give that to them, which was quite beautiful. And I'm not gonna say it was all perfect, because you see some really sad sights, you know, about like, you learn about like the true like child workers, and you see that kind of stuff, and it's very sad to see. And this is like a holy land, and it's kind of like, and not even just that, but like everywhere you go, even in Maryland, like DC, you have right there like the capital of the US, and then you have Baltimore, and you have like the ghettos of DC, and the dark and light of every place. And it was sad to see that, but you just cry. Like, you cry like this is just the state of the world, and you're right next to the spiritual place. You're going to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him's graveyard. You're going to see the sites of the graveyard of the martyrs, and you're seeing these buildings. You're seeing like the history of it, and you realize like, man, this is real. Like, this is real. Like, it's not a joke. It's not a game. It's not a fairy tale. Like the life and death of a person is people died for this. People lived their whole lives for over 1,000 years. People have lived their lives for this in a beautiful way. And I'll say this too, like I said before, never study the person, but study the religion. They have been people who took Islam and used it as a way to oppress somebody. Use it as a way. I see it. It's in so many places going on right now. It's in Iran, in the Philippines, in America, and just all over the world, people that have used that for war. And it's very, 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 very disappointing, because if you study it, you learn about peace and forgiveness. And the Quran can teach you to forgive a killer. It's not there are some real deep life lessons in there. Like, it's not just like all light and love, but it's deep. And I can honestly say I have traveled a bit around the world, and these paradises and these great places still have their dark sides, and you realize how true these ancient messages were talking to. Once you get out the bubble of the suburbs, it's very different. But for when I was in in Mecca, when I was expecting to be, you would expect to feel like once you walk in, you're gonna feel enlightened. You're gonna feel like, your heart's gonna awaken. But it wasn't like that. When you get to the Kaaba, you realize it's just a very grounded. It grounds you because, like, the story of the Kaaba and how it was built by father and son. So it's rooted in a family practice and a family thing. Prophet Abraham and his son. And you go to the Kaaba, like present day, and what you see is like families together, people from all over the world. You see kids, you see old men, and you're just like, it's like a family community get together. And I was gonna say a cookout, but there's no food we can eat. But it's just like a family reunion in a way, where it's like you're all getting together, and the only difference is that you're relieving something from yourself. It's like you're aiming for something beyond you for help, which is quite beautiful. And man, you walk around that building with the Kaaba is the most expensive building in the world. So you can imagine like what kind of stuff they got in there, and like the decorations and whatnot. So that itself humbles you. It's like, man, they got money. They got that money. You got that 93 money. But when I was in the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him's masjid, I mean, man, you hear every language in the world. Like, you hear every language, which is a trip. And it had a major impact on me. I can't deny it. And when I came back, and I realized, like, yeah, there's no way, there's no doubt in my mind. Like, there's doubt here and there, but like, nah, something about this is true. Something about this is real. There's too much evidence. There's too much for it not to have some kind of value. And I look at the Quran differently. You know, the way Sufis read the Quran is like they look at it as a reflection of their heart. So they read with their hearts. So the way they listen to it is a little bit, and how do you even get to your heart, really? Again with those feelings. And the best feeling to have in your heart is compassion, care, and gratitude. And imagine reading the Quran, reading those heavy stories with the compassion. You look at it differently. And I mean, I'm not to think about compassion, but to feel it. And there's a difference to think about it, because you embody it, you're living it. And I think that's a very beautiful place to get to. But if I was to summarize this whole video, we're almost at an hour now, 50 minutes. If I was to summarize this whole video, I would say this: what is meant for you will never leave you. And what I mean is that although I was born in a Jewish community, a Christian community, Islam came back to my life in its own way, and I have a deeper appreciation for it. I have my ups and downs of it, obviously, but I have my deeper appreciations for it. And it would always come back, and this practice gives you something to believe in. It makes you realize, like, there's a life after this, so don't think that the loved ones that you have are gone. They're actually, especially the good ones, they're actually in a better place. And I'm kind of jealous of them. They got to meet, they're in a good place. They beat the game in a sense. And I'm like, man, I'm very proud of you, man. You beat the game. And we're still dealing with like our leaders, and then just the chaos of the world. Like we'll see you soon, like but yeah, man, I'm glad like having a spiritual path can give that to you, can give you that. I feel like it's very healthy to have that mindset. Because you will grieve one day, and you will miss somebody one day. To have that there is good for you. You can, if you choose that. I mean, if you choose that, I'm not gonna force it on anybody. And I hope you find your own path. It doesn't have to be Islam. It's like, it can be Taoism, it can be Buddhism, the yogi tradition, Hinduism, Christianity, the original Judaism, whatever you find, it's the same message. It's the same message. It's about heart. It's about cleansing your heart, being present, feeling the love, and making sure that your love is being aimed toward the right place, and not being obsessed and addicted to something that can damage you. But again, the recommendations I would start out with, if you're interested and you made it this far, is Reclaim Your Heart by Yasmin Mogahed. And even before that, I would read this about Chi, or life energy. But that's my personal recommendations. Whatever you get to is your choice. But again, I probably missed some things I wanted to talk about, but that's okay. I think I got everything that's important. Because I'm not out yet. But you made it this far. Thank you. I pray that, Allah blesses you and guides you and heals you. And blesses your loved ones. Amen.